football's all about adversity, so it's trying to figure out how to, get better. Had that second drive come in, had the second half came out. First drive got some points, so that was good. And, just trying to figure it out.
There were moments that he looked very good. Obviously, there's a couple throws there that he wished he had back. A couple things with the protections we got to get cleaned up. But first start in the NFL, first opportunity to play. It's not going to go perfectly.
Ways to go. I feel like I got a lot of work to put in, but I'm excited for my potential, and I'm going to keep getting better.
All right, they all said the right things. Nick, what did you take away from Haskins' performance?
I think it's worthwhile, if you can, to go to NFL.com and watch the cut-up of every throw he made yesterday, because I don't think the stat sheet did him justice. I watched online today every throw from all the young quarterbacks from preseason game 1. And Haskins, without any question, was asked to make the most difficult throws. He had the fewest easy open reads. I don't know if that was by design or if that's just because of what the Browns were able to do defensively. I thought his first throw of the game inside his own 10, a play-action rollout where he goes for 25 yards, was a really good throw. He made another really good throw up the sideline that the receiver ended up fumbling, and it ended that drive. Now, the 2 interceptions were bad. One was particularly bad, the one into double coverage that Greedy Williams got. But I thought he was better than the stat line showed. I thought he had some really solid throws. This one was obviously not one of them, where he rushes the wheel route. But I don't think Haskins should be terribly discouraged by what happened yesterday, because there were moments where you saw him make some of the better throws any of the young guys made last night.
Yeah, it's easy to explain the interception. The wheel route, he had a running back on a linebacker. He thought he was going to be able to loft it over the linebacker's head. But at this level, until you see it in the game, you don't realize guys can anticipate, linebackers can catch. And the defender for Cleveland, he's able to catch it and return it for a touchdown. But if he puts a little more air on it, the other throw down the seam, his fundamentals, he stepped into his throw, but the ball sailed on him. So it's not in the double coverage. They're playing 2-man. All right, they're playing a zone coverage. Greedy's just back there. He's not guarding that guy. He's guarding the guy outside. So those are things that are very, very correctable. But also, as the coach mentioned, they got to clean up their pass protection. If you start getting guys in your face, these balls start selling, you start misreading it. So this is all part of it. I don't mind guys throwing interceptions if you can explain the reason why and be able to correct them. But if you're trying to be a starter in this league, you can't turn the football over. The thing I said yesterday, you guys said, what do you want to see? I just want to see the mechanics. I want to see in and out of the huddle. I want to see a couple throws. Don't turn the ball over. Don't fumble. Don't give the defense an opportunity, because the team, it's hard for the team, and this is not just Haskins, this is every quarterback. It's hard for a team to have confidence in a quarterback that puts the defense back onto the field. It's hard to like a guy, it's hard to follow a guy. So you can't turn the football over is what you have to be able to take from these preseason games.
Is it on the board that Dwayne Haskins can beat out Case Keenum for that?
I don't think he's going to start week 1. I would be shocked if he doesn't start at some point this season. In modern NFL, you draft a quarterback in the first round, they start that year. And I mean, it's not like he's behind an entrenched starter in Keenum or Colt McCoy. You mentioned the pass protection. He was under constant duress, and it came out yesterday. Trent Williams doesn't ever want to play for Washington again. It's no longer about wanting a new contract, reportedly. It's that he wants a trade. That's an all-pro left tackle that he is ostensibly not going to have the benefit of playing behind. Now, Cleveland's got a good front, and I know there were some backups in there by the time Haskins was playing, but he was constantly running for his life, took one big shot in the game. That didn't help him out either.
Jenna, this is what I know. Every team Case and Colt have been on, since they've been in the NFL, the team been looking for a starter. So Haskins should be starting. If he doesn't turn the ball over, he should be starting immediately, because neither one of those guys are your starter. When you start the season with one of those guys, you know you're not making the playoffs. You know you're going to be drafted in the top 10. That's what typically has happened when those guys have been starters.
All right, let's move on to the Giants now. They debuted their 6th overall pick, quarterback Daniel Jones, last night, and at least for a night, Jones put his doubters on notice, going a perfect 5 of 5, 67 yards, including a 12-yard touchdown pass to Benny Fowler. But head coach Pat Shurmur says those wanting Jones to start need to relax just a little bit.
I think slow your roll. I mean, this is just his first go-around, and I think he did a good job. As I mentioned all along, he's done nothing to disappoint us, and certainly when you take the the team down the field and score a touchdown, it's a good start. Something good to build on. And we got a lot of time left before we start playing games, and nothing at this point has changed.
Trying to do my job, and with everyone else doing their job, it works. We score points. So I don't know how that's seen outside of the locker room, but it's all good to know.
See, what'd you make of Daniel Jones last night?
Well, he's had a good training camp, and then you could see it transferred over to the game. NFL offenses, they're not going to overwhelm him, because being with Cutcliffe, the coach at Duke, that's what he runs. He's taught Peyton Manning, he's taught Eli Manning, he's a quarterback coach. Like, he's an offensive guru. So he is way up as far as a football IQ approaching the NFL. So that's a huge advantage. He's having a good camp. And Pat Shurmur, he put him in some things he was very, very comfortable, but he kept the starting offensive line in there after Eli, so the kid wouldn't get hit early and maybe get him spooked. So he had him in some good reads. Most of the NFL coaches last night, if they had a young quarterback in, you know what they did the first pass play? Play action. Give them something easy to trick the defense. Typically, play action is a better pass protection. Only put 2 or 3 guys out. That's what they did to get him started. He made a couple nice throws like Kyler, sideline outs, quick outs, had to make a quick decision. The touchdown, people will be looking at that thinking he made a great throw. Be like, oh, man, he fit that ball in there. Like, that receiver, I mean, that safety should have intercepted that ball. I mean, that ball should have not been thrown to him. And he was eyeballing him the whole time. So, great start by him. Be careful on the touchdown, because if you watch it, when he gets the snap of the ball, his head, they were in cover 2. That means split safeties. His head was on the safety and to the right side of the field. The safety should have been wider than the wide receiver, because he was only receiver to that side of the field. You don't have to worry, because the Jets had their backup secondary in there, mostly their backup defense. He's not an NFL safety, so don't look at that as if, oh, he made a great throw. Those are bad defenders out there. It was a ball that shouldn't have been thrown. 2 guys could have picked that ball off. So let's pump our brakes. So like the coach said.
I find that really interesting, because the first 4 passes.
What, did I know football?
No.
Oh.
That's what you saw there. Because the first 4 passes were all boom, boom, throw. Boom, like it was read, react.
The first one they threw down the field. That's when they ran the play action with the crosser.
Yep, and
to get him started.
And then after that, and to his credit, he completed them. They were on target. He didn't make any mistakes. But it's what I was talking about before, which is they had schemed it up to where he was going to have, relatively speaking, easy throws. When I was watching this live, I thought exactly what Chris said a lot of people thought. Man, I thought he dropped this in the bucket. I thought this was right exactly where it needed to be. I know that watching the game, the game announcers, now they're going to be a little biased because we're in New York and we're hearing the New York announcers. They said
Carl Banks,
our friend Carl Banks. Well, they said something similar. It wasn't until you came in this morning that pointed out that the safety got turned around and had his back to the play the whole time that I saw what you were saying.
Yeah, that's during the regular season. Jamal Adams picks that off, and he might be making the tackle. One thing as an analyst, you have to be careful, because I've been covering the NFL draft for a long time. What you say about a player in college and in the draft, you have to put a check mark on that when they come into the pros, because they'll be in a different system, different environment, and they might have a skill set that this team is able to work with. And that's what I've been able to do. If I don't think a guy should be drafted as high, I don't use that in analyzing him.
Sure.
So I didn't look at that last night saying, you know something, the Giants should have had Haskins there, because it's going to be hard for you to evaluate players fairly if you continue to do that. You have to almost have a blank slate. They come into the league, what you saw compared to what they do. Barkley, I didn't see him at Penn State tote the ball 22, 25, 28 times. All the Penn State backs, for the most part, have been bust in the NFL. I thought he'd be good. I didn't think he was going to be an instant superstar. So it's not as if I missed on him. I adjusted. Once he got to the league, I was like, okay, let me adjust this. Okay. Don't hold against them what we saw in college and in the draft. You have to turn the page to be able to evaluate him, because Pat Shurmur is going to try to bring out the best in his ability. And last night, you could see some of the things why he was a first-round pick.
So do the Giants have a quarterback situation now? Daniel Jones looked good. He's had a pretty good camp. Then you have Eli. How are they going to handle the situation moving forward?
Well, I had a Giants fan say to me last night, man, if Daniel Jones keeps out playing Eli this preseason, we do have to be fair to Eli. Eli threw one pass. Eli was in there for one drive. Now, it was a 3-and-out, but it wasn't a 3-and-out because of Eli. They had 2 ineffective runs. He had one pass, went for 3 yards. Is it on the board that he's the week 1 starter? I suppose when Daniel Jones, when you're a top 10 pick, it has to be on the board to a degree. But I would be shocked if, with the loyalty they've shown to Eli Manning, if he does not get something of a farewell game. And to me, in their schedule, there is a perfect window for him. After week 6, they're at New England. That's on a Thursday night. They have 10 days, and then they play Arizona. I would imagine that they would say, if things don't start well, when we are going to insert him, it could be with extra time against a team we don't think is going to be a great team. But I think their plan is for Eli to be the week 1 starter.
When are they benching him, Nick? What's that bye week in there?
It's not the bye week. It's just...
Tell me that again.
They play New England on a Thursday in week 6. And so I think what their plan would be, who do you think is going to be the week 1
I totally disagree. You're the only person in the world thinking that.
Thinking what? That Eli's going to start week 1?
Eli is definitely going to start week number 1.
So we're on the same page.
And, there's a plan for him to take over week number 6. The Giants told us Eli played better than anyone saw. Eli has played well in camp. He knows how to get through camp. But to think that the Giants and anyone in the Giants organization is thinking this kid is going to start the first half of the season, we are crazy. Eli Manning is the starter for the Giants, all right? We've been trying to replace Eli for 3 years, and now Eli should be replaced when a guy's better than him. Right now, Daniel Jones is not better than him, and when he is, I'll call for Eli's job and for Eli to sit down. Until then, it's just a rookie learning the system, played in his first preseason game. Eli is light years better than him. We would ruin him if we put him behind that offensive line any week before week number 8. All right? Or I don't believe he'll be playing this whole season. So he should be sitting, watching Eli. That's the plan I'm sure that the Giants have.
Okay. Well, I mean, the point that I'm making, and I think you're wrong when you say no one is speculating the same thing. That
no one in the Giants. No one in the Giants. That's what's important. What do the Giants think?
Okay. Well, if the Giants don't think it's on the board for him to start at some point in the first half of the year, then you can't draft him 6th overall. If you take a player 6th overall,
that's just your philosophy. They didn't tell us that, Nick.
No, they didn't. But the whole league has told us that over the last 10 years.
Let me tell you what the Giants told us. Eli can play more football.
Yes.
That's what they told us. He could play a couple more years. Did they not say that? I'm not making it up.
No. They absolutely said that. They also said how they fell in love with Daniel Jones. The point that I just wanted to be clear, because I don't know if it was clear to you, the point I was making, that if the beginning of the season goes poorly, they have a window where you have a mini bye week leading into a bad defense where it would make sense. Week 7, after you play the Patriots in week 6.
I haven't seen anything on film, hyperbole. I haven't seen anything written that would make me think Eli can be benched in week number 6. I didn't see anything last night that said, Eli's in trouble with his job.
Okay.
All right, let's take a break there. I'm going to call the Giants in the break and see what's really happening here. Coming up, will Baker lead the Browns to their first playoff